Gotta start decentering your sons too. You can't hand them off to another woman. No one wants to date them. And this is, one of my mutuals made a video about that. I'm gonna include the link. I'm gonna tag her. She's on this platform and she's amazing. I'm just afraid to show videos. I don't want to get like copyright violations. I'm gonna summarize what she's talking about, which I hadn't quite thought about this way, in that a lot of women are, and this is because of patriarchal conditioning, okay? This is how we are taught as a collective, that to have a son, a prince, is just a blessing. So daughter, whatever, but a son, the future king baby, the little prince baby. And so a lot of mothers are not teaching those sons how to take care of themselves, or that they even should, because, you know, of course, the expecting women to take care of them, whether it's their mom or their girlfriend or their wife or whatever, get that message real through examples from their mom and just how they are taught. They're not held to the same standards as the daughters. What women are counting on, because this is how it's been, is that when the son is ready to move out and fly, birdie fly away from the little nest, then he'll go right into another nest where another little mama bird will take care of him and feed him, whatever. And that's not going to happen with a lot of these men. There are no women who want to date them, because women aren't raising their standard. Oh my God, I just did a French thing. French people do that all the time. They're like, tack, tack, tack. Makes so many noises. I love it. I just did it naturally. Anyway, women are raising their standard. And they're just like, yeah, if he can't like be a partner and he's going to turn me into his mom, no thanks. Go back to mom. And I'm going to read a column about this so that I can do my little Melanie's column until Melanie has a column thing. But I just want to give the person credit who really framed it for me this way, because what she was saying is that, again, this is because of our social conditioning, but that doesn't mean it's okay. And that is that a lot of these little princes that moms have just been praying for, and they get them, and then they just make them their boyfriend a lot of times. Literally, like, which is, and okay, and I know that we give women a pass a lot of times on this, but this is like emotional to treat your son like he's your husband, whether it's because your husband left you or because your husband sucks. I see that all the time on the apps. Women will be like, clearly don't like their husbands, and so they put all that, like they're putting all their eggs in that little prince baby's basket. Well, this man hates me, but this man, because he's dependent on me and I have power over him, will have to worship me because of the power dynamic and give all of these things to me that a child should not be expected to give their parent. Children are not supposed to be their parent's best friend, their little sit-in wife or husband, the referee for the family, like any of these things that children are constantly put in the position to do. Be the emotional regulator of dad or mom or whoever. They're not supposed to be doing that. And yet it happens all the time. And what happens when parents do this to their kids is it messes up all of their relationships unless they get a lot of help, especially their romantic relationships. That's all they know. What's comfortable is having a woman control you and manipulate you and have some weird power over you, which means if a boy is raised by a mom who is like this, he will never have a healthy relationship with his wife if he dates women. Never. Because you are always going to be competing with her and you're going to make him choose. And a lot of women don't realize they're doing this. Maybe a lot of women realize and don't care. And I know that a lot of times, because of the way husbands treat their wives or literally abandon their wives, a lot of moms end up putting things on their sons as if they're husbands, and daughters as if they are like their little helper, surrogate mother for a mother who is overwhelmed. And I've talked about all this stuff before, but there's so much content online right now of women literally admitting out loud on the internet for their children to later see that they love their sons more. And they may not say, I love him more. They'll phrase it differently, like, I love my daughters, but there's a special place in my heart for my boy. And you boy moms know what I mean. Stop it! That's not healthy! It's not healthy. And you are also you're screwing over any woman who ever comes in contact with that man. Oh, like, you're really screwing him up. Please desend her men, if not for yourself, for your sons, for your daughters, for all your kids, regardless of gender. I'm talking about sons in this video. I gave daughters a whole other video like yesterday or the day before. And the problem is with divorce rates going, right? And women literally, and then 4B and just this decentering men and women being like, no, I would literally rather be alone than this. Because especially child-free women are like, wait a second, I didn't want to be a mom. Why are you making me your mom? I didn't want to be a mom. That's literally why I got my tubes tied or whatever. So there is not going to be a woman to take your place. So that man's going to come back into your home and you're going to get him back. But that man is entitled, probably doesn't know how to deal with things well because it's always been expected that women will deal with it for him. And that man may even be violent. Like I did a whole video on matricide. Those statistics are going up very quickly. And a lot of it, no doubt, is because of men who cannot find girlfriends and wives to take their frustration out on and to be taken care of by. So moms, they're coming home to you. If women can, it starts young. I'm gonna give one little anecdote. I think I've said this before. For those who are new here, it starts so young. And I have to intentionally make sure I treat my nephew and my nieces the same. Because I catch myself. So I'm just saying, it's okay. It's okay to admit that you treat them differently as long as you're trying to work on it and catch yourself and try to redirect and change that. Because I witnessed at a little birthday party of 3-year-olds, one of my closest friends told me, watch what happens between the difference between little boys and little girls when they eat that cupcake. And it was terrifying that the boys were all helpless, waited for mom to do everything for them. And the little girls went over, got their cupcake, sat down, peeled the paper, ate their cupcake without making a mess. Some of them made a mess. I mean, I'm making some generalization, like every single kid's the same, right? I'm just saying this is socialization, right? Men are just taught to take care of men and boys more. And so we just don't notice ourselves doing it. So what you get, even at the age of 3, is helpless boys waiting for someone to do it for them, to literally feed them and clean up after them, and girls who've already just doing it for themselves. And do not tell me it's because girls age faster. I don't even care what biology may support a little bit of that. Girls and teenagers age faster because they have no choice. So I just want to make sure that you don't think that I'm judging women who have sons. I can't imagine what a daily mind fork it is to be like, how do I make sure I don't raise a predator? How do I make sure I don't raise my own oppressor or my own threat to my life if he moves back in or goes on a rampage like the one, all these schmurial unalivers, they almost always take out mom too. Not a coincidence. So this is really hard work and it takes a while. It takes very conscious effort and we're all learning here. But I want to show you a story, am I the a-hole, about what it looks like when a mother clearly is too enmeshed with her son, just enmeshed, I think you're supposed to be enmeshed at all, and is sabotaging that man's life, ruining that man's life. Again, like I said in that video the other day, if you're like me and the codependency is so deep that you can't do this really hard work of decentering men and the patriarchal conditionality stuff for yourself, do it for the people you love. Do it for them. Do it for him. Decenter him for his sake. So let's get into it. Credit who I get this from, and this is the account that posts really good in my the a-holes. I actually haven't been on Reddit to see this. I'm sure there's probably a follow-up by now, multiple ones, but let's just start here. Am I the asshole? We're calling off my wedding and telling my fiance to move back home with mommy. I love this energy already. I love this poster, OP or whatever you call it. This gives me hope. As depressing as this story is, in terms of the man, not a boy, man. God, I can't believe I still do this. And the man and this woman, I love that this woman did this. This is so bold. Here we go. I'm not going to try and swing this in my favor here by leaving out details or sugarcoating anything. I was mean about it. He was crying. I've been with my fiance for 7 years. No, that's a red flag maybe. By the way, it's not that I think long engagements or being together a long time before getting engaged is always a bad thing. I just think, just so we're clear, when it's men's idea, it's bad. He's gonna get wife privileges with literally no legal protection for her. Whereas if a woman is not ready and wants to wait for a lot of reasons, I get that. Anyway, if y'all want a whole video on that, let me know. But anyway, been together 7 years, fiance is 7 years, engaged for 3. 3 years is a pretty long engagement from my understanding. We have gone ahead and tried to do a save the date 4 times. 4 times now. And every single time, his mom convinces him to postpone. It's always, well, don't you think you have bigger things to worry about? Whether it be our living situation, we're renting and she thinks we should buy first because we aren't stable. Or money situation. This was her excuse after we loaned her $8,000. That's already, So she didn't lose her house. But we have plenty of money, as my husband is an RN and I'm a lawyer. I'm getting dating down vibes here. I'm not saying just because, oftentimes women out-earn their partner. But there's so many red flags already. But I mean, a lawyer makes way more than an RN. I don't know how much RNs make, but I know it's not a lawyer, right? Am I wrong? I don't know. Just saying. So the reason why I mentioned this is that $8,000. Guess who's that's really coming from? This is why when women are stepmothers and they're high earners, that money is going to those kids. They're not even. She doesn't even have any legal rights over the. Oh, again, it's a whole nother video. Stepmoms get screwed so much, especially when they out earn their partners. Anyway. I just have so much to say about everything. It's just always something. Always something. We planned for a family gathering in my mom's backyard. She has 3 acres and a beautiful pond, and it's just perfect. That sounds lovely. And we were doing a potluck. Yeah, okay, that's like the cheapest way to do a wedding ever. By the way, we did not have much money for our wedding. God, for people who just started following me, there's so much to tell. But yeah, we provided food and then our friends all brought stuff. I love community involvement in weddings. I'm not a princess wedding kind of person. But the reason for the low-cost wedding is because mom, the boy mom, paid the $8,000 is like, no, you need to buy a house. Buy a house. You know, like, just saying. Think about all these things, okay? My guess is this low-cost wedding was her trying to get around these stupid conditions the boy mom keeps putting on her son and the couple for really good advice. And so then she like adapts to those things. Be like, okay, now you can't use finances. What's next? What's the next one? Well, plus everyone we know lives within an hour of the location, so giving a month or 2 notice is perfectly acceptable in our case. With all this said, his mom has 0 reason to try to sway us against it. Boom. So, even had the cheaper option, very cheap option. Catering, from my understanding, in big, massive weddings is like the most expensive thing other than like, I don't know, location or dress. I don't know what people spend. But her newest argument, I knew it, is that we need to wait until our daughter's, oh, you have a kid. You have a kid. I am so glad that I just skim over this stuff because I did not catch that detail. I was like, yeah, sounds terrible. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I think I should do some where I completely blind react. I should have opened submissions for that. Okay, so let's do some math here now. Been together 7 years. Engaged for, 3. So you had your daughter, you're 6 years together. Okay, either way, this seems like a shut up ring kind of situation. And not because I don't even know if it's because he doesn't love her. This is a very unique shut up ring situation. This is boy mom shut up ring. Oh my God, look, he's dreaming. Okay, I gotta keep talking because that's what wakes him up is when I stop going. Okay, my point is, a lot of times men will give shut up rings because they don't really like you. I mean, whatever, just like what you do for them. And even though So this woman seems to be living together for a while, have a child together. He's literally getting all husband privileges plus dad social credit. Dad social credit. That is huge. That man's gonna get raises now. That man's gonna get so much respect because women and children add social capital to and add value, currency to men's like estimation, right? In the public. Whereas women, it's like, oh my God, I need to stop doing that. I just found the tweet. Literally talked about this today. And I love following her on Twitter. Men have an unpaid nanny cook maid at home, and it can absolutely allow them to shoot for the stars career-wise. Because she's responding to this dude. He's like, being married and a parent does wonders for your professional credibility. How many single and childless leaders of countries have you seen? So either his boy mom is sabotaging all this, or he's like, whatever, what's the point of getting married? I'm literally getting everything from you already. Or a combination of the two. We shall see. Well, in December, my husband. Okay, now I'm like, wait, what happened? And I talked and we decided we wanted to get married in August. I told him, don't let your mom dictate it. And he said he wouldn't. And then he was tired of listening to her. Fair enough. But last weekend, my mother and his mother both came for dinner, and I was talking to my mom about what dress I wanted her to wear as the matron of honor. My husband's mom asked when we planned to tell her. We decided on a date, and my husband said when we told everyone else. Okay, he's getting some courage, a little backbone, standing up to mom. That's just the natural consequence of trying to control your kids, is they stop including you in things. It should be the natural consequence, at least. She just said, oh. You could just hear her being like, oh. I can still see that. And got quiet and took leave maybe 20 minutes later. Took leave, okay. I've never seen it said like that. It sounds very fancy. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm a writer and I don't speak fancy. Anyway, it just means leave, right? But I think of someone taking leave, I think of like maternity leave. Anyway. Okay, he had already made plans to go over to her house after dinner to help her with her cable box. Oh, yeah. If a man helps his mom more than he does for you, big red flag. I'm not like, I like men who actually give back to their mom, give back to their parent and help them out. But it not in the spirit of like, or being like, come on and do it all the time, right? Like my husband loves doing things for his mom. As he ages, he realizes just how awesome she was. He just wants her to feel appreciated with like technology and stuff, whatever. So I'm not saying that this is a bad sign at all. I think it's a really healthy thing, but not if the mom is enmeshed and is like, honey, help me do this, do me this, da, 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 da. My dad had such an unhealthy relationship with his mom. She would call, and this man in even his 60s would just hold the phone out like this for like half hour at a time. She just called and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked, and he wasn't listening at all, but he didn't know how to get off the phone with her. She was mean. She was mean to everyone in his life. Then I told you, grandma was beat by grandpa, so it all makes sense now. Anyway, so she left shortly after that to head over to the place while I drank some wine with my mom. When he got back, he was super quiet. She got in his ear. But said he was just tired and went to bed. Men think we're so dumb. Dude, do you not understand how smart your wife is? When they do this stuff, you're like, I already know. Like, don't even try to pretend. Like, it's insulting when men are like, no, I'm just tired. Say, I had a hard conversation I'd rather talk about tomorrow. That's an adult thing to do. Anyway, but last night he said at random, my mom kind of has a point. Oh, here we go. Just out of nowhere. Maybe we should wait until we buy a house or so our living situation is a bit more stable. God, he really thinks he's just out of nowhere. You know, I think nice try, buddy. She's not wrong in saying that, it should be something we're worried about. I just went silent and didn't comment because I was pissed off. But he kept making comments like, it'll only be a couple of years. 5 at most. Can you imagine being with someone for 7 years, engaged for 3? And they're like, we'll get married After 8 years of, can you imagine how embarrassing it would be to be engaged for 8 years? Everyone is going to be like, no, you're never getting married. Or he hates you. 5 years. He was just like, yeah, maybe 5 years. God. Look, just so we're clear here, I don't necessarily think marriage is a good thing. I like my marriage. But in general, I'm like not for marriage unless it's with a man who makes your life much easier instead of harder and loves the crap out of you. And there is a reason why marriage is important to a lot of people and is a form of protection, because there's prenups, there's postnups, there's all kinds of law that can be brought into it. When you're just dating, that's nothing. I have seen too many women who have lived with and been with men for a long time and even engaged to them, and then they realized, thank God, before it was too late, that these men, one of my friends was engaged to a raging alcoholic. The dude, his drinking got so bad at the end, he got a DUI, and he was paying for a tow truck to tow his car home across town every night. Drained their account. Do you know how expensive it is to tow a car every day? And she couldn't figure out like where all the money went. There. And then she started realizing, oh my God, and called it off. Thank God. Before she was tied to him, right? But she also said after that situation, she would never live with a man again unless they were married, because she lost so much. Had no legal recourse, nothing. She lost so much because they were just dating, all the wife privileges without any legal protection on her end. So I'm just saying, especially if you bring immigration, health insurance, like in the US, all kinds of things, there's a really strong case for getting married, but only if that man is good to you. But don't live with these dudes like this for years and have kids with them, or get something drawn up legally. Even if you're not married, get something down legally. I don't know. I know there's the ways around this, but this to me is no better than marriage. I should do a whole video on this, because it's serious. Marriage is a scam, because most women are not benefiting from it. But the women who are benefiting from it, protected by it, hell yeah. Do what you want. Do what you need. Here we go. I love this. So after this we can wait 5 years. I took my ring off and handed it to him. This is the part I remember. And said, I was no longer interested. I love just being like, not interested. I love it. It wasn't like, like when you do something that cold, like, and calm, it scares the crap out of men. It scares the crap out of people. He immediately started protesting and trying to put the ring back on my finger, and I wouldn't let him. Yes, hold your ground. I said I was no longer interested in marrying him, and maybe he should move back home with mommy, because I know for a fact that woman will make up another excuse the second we buy a house, and I'm really just so turned off at the thought of marrying him at this point, because I have zero business being with a man who has no backbone. Oh, I'm sorry. The flute does seem to wake him up, but not doing this. No backbone, and would put our lives on hold in favor of a woman who still wants to scrub his back in the shower. Oh my God, that's right. There's something creepy here. As I said, I was mean about it. But to clear it up now, no, she has not said she wants to scrub. I love how she's like, okay, they're going to have questions. She's not said she wants to scrub his back in the shower, but, all caps, she often talks about how she, quote, had to help him shower for months when he was 16 because he broke his leg. And as the story goes, he told her he didn't want help. Oh my God, this is getting scary. And she forced it because she's fucking weird. And it's even, okay, this should have scared you off a long time ago. But okay. And it's even weirder that she still talks about it like it was a fond memory to see her 16-year-old. Exactly. This right here, and we don't talk about it enough, is in schmest. It's implied in schmest. As a survivor myself from a family member, when someone put that language, gave me that language of interpreting a lot of things as like, this is what this is. I was like, oh, because a lot of people gaslight themselves because they're like, this is really weird. And I'm just telling you, the way a lot of women are openly talking about their sons online, their little sons, their little tiny children, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, they talk about them in very ways. And like parentify them. A little man, a little boyfriend. You know, like they're already like jealous of a future wife, a future girlfriend. They're competing with a sexual partner of their son. You know how sick that is? That is, even if you never lay a finger on them, that is still a form of it. It's emotional, it's implied, and oftentimes that is because she had something like that happen to her. Not always, just saying, cycle of violence, hard to break. And then you add patriarchy in there where women are taught to center men. And then on top of that, see men as a resource, as proximity to power. And I will just speak for my people, but white women especially will screw over anybody to have access to that king baby. Because he's like, in terms of the hierarchy, the most powerful one, right? But it doesn't pay off in the end. It doesn't. Throwing all other women under the bus to keep proximity to a man who hates you, who would literally unalive you legally if he could probably. Who wants that? So I'm not going to speak for any other communities, but I'm speaking about this is a big problem in my community. And I'm from the South. Like there's a reason why we have this reputation. Just saying. It's bad there. It's very bad. So the fact that she was dating a man whose mom was telling this story more than once fondly about doing something her son, 16-year-old son, did not want her doing, and just like disguises it as helping. Like this is like if you ever hear a man you're dating, his mom, and when you meet, if she ever does stuff like this, just does like treats him like her boyfriend, you need to really pay attention to that because that woman will ruin your relationship. Hands down. Will ruin your life. You are enemy number one. You are her only competition in life. She wants you to take care of him, but she wants him to his allegiance to her first. That's why all this discourse about, who, if you had to put someone in the front seat, your mom or your wife, and if they're like, yeah, my wife's always going to go in the back. I mean, if that's not a good example. There's like so many things. There's like, what? And it's like all of the men who are like, yeah, of course my wife comes second. The woman who literally almost died giving you children, you're building a life with, an independent person who is no longer needing mommy. You're still gonna throw her under the bus so that mom feels good. Whatever. So look what happens. He's crying at this point, and I'm stupid calm. Okay, I really like her voice. Every writer has a voice, and everyone's a writer. I love this. This is I'm stupid calm. Maybe because I'm over it. And told him I wanted him to leave. Or he could leave. Or I could leave, sorry. But those were the only two options. This is so bold. I love this energy. He ended up leaving, sobbing the entire time. I feel bad. I feel gutted. Right? It's like she's not enjoying this. This man that she has given a child to, risked dying for, probably been doing a lot of labor for, financially has been, supporting him if they're doing 50-50. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? To give him money to his mom. And, I'm assuming loves him. This is not fun for her. But every woman hits a breaking point. And once she hits that breaking point, there's usually no point of no return. Then this is when the men are like, I'm blindsided. Okay, well, here we go. He means everything to me. But I can't do this anymore. And my asshole. His mom has been blowing up. Here we go. This brings back to the point I made in the beginning. His mom has been blowing up my phone with text trying to plead her case. And I just texted back and said, no, it's fine. You won. Now you can have your baby boy back full time. Ow! And I blocked her number. Ow! Block. Y'all know how I like block. My friends think I'm wildly overreacting. Okay, don't let your friends gaslight you into this. This is not overreacting. This is a woman who clearly saw a lot of red flags, probably gave him benefit of the doubt after benefit of the doubt, gaslighted herself, accepted this, and then they have a kid. So now, just saying, once you have a child with these men, you are probably, maybe not always, going to, just for the sake of the family and keeping the family together, you might put up with a lot more crap than you would have if you didn't have that much time, money, and literally DNA invested together. The more you invest in these relationships because you didn't notice the red flags or didn't even know they're red flags, the more you have to lose. The more you lose, then the more you have to lose by leaving. Please pay attention to these red flags right out of the gate. Meet that mom fast. Pay attention. Oh, here we go. Sorry for the confusion. I call my husband by habit since and have since before we got engaged. Okay, well, that clears up. I want to say a couple more things before I end about this guy, why I feel a little bad for him. I don't want by any means to excuse that man's behavior. That woman absolutely needs to leave him and not marry him because he has too much work to do on himself. Because that man, that was abuse. He was abused. That level of enmeshment, that emotional, that is abuse. And that man has so much work to do on himself. He can't not stand up to her for even the smallest thing. The fact that she's even telling that story to other people and he's letting her, there are probably so many examples of all the things that the boundaries that she crosses on a regular basis. And if that man can't stand up to her, he will let his mother abuse his wife. He will. We see it happen all the time. A lot of mother-in-laws want to be queen bee. They feel like they have earned that position because they were treated like crap and they're finally the queen, right? And they expect the son to stay in line. And if he dares stand up to her and be like, no, we are not coming over on Thanksgiving this year because we came last year. We're going to her. You know what I mean? There's so much you have to negotiate between in-laws, and a man that will not stand up to his parents, especially his mother, is a man that's going to throw you under the bus when she comes driving through and she's the bus driver. And I have a lot of empathy for him because if we reversed the genders and it was a woman whose father had done that, we would understand that she has a lot of daddy issues, for lack of a better word. And, ask psychologists. Mine have told me that one of the hardest traumas and relationship stuff to unravel is when it happens with a parent or a close family member or someone who is in your life in that close proximity versus I'm not saying one is worse or whatever. I'm just saying it is so much more deeply entrenched when a parent does that to you or someone who is a stand-in for a parent, because you really do learn about relationships from your parents, right? Which again is one reason why I'm so glad my mom was a single mom for most of my formative years, because I did not see a king baby being centered. I just saw my mom centering herself, having all single mom friends. Thank God I had that, given all the other things that happen. And so we see this happen all the time. A woman has something with her dad when she's a girl, and then she dates the same man and can't get out of that pattern of abuse. So the same thing is going to happen with sons too. But they're not talking about it. And because of patriarchy, men don't talk about it with each other. They don't even acknowledge it within themselves. They just, right? That kind of stuff needs to be dealt with by professionals, or at least a lot of work on himself, because learning how to stand up to your parents, especially if enmeshment and stuff is happening, is one of the hardest things a person who is raised like that can do. And until they can do it, anyone who's in the relationship with them, unless they go with no contact, because that is a way of standing up to them. But if they have them in their lives and they don't have any boundaries with them, they are going to hurt everyone around them by proxy. So no, she should not be marrying that man. That man will literally ruin her life because he has no boundaries. He has no boundaries because his mom is abusive. The same way, if you had a single mom and then a stepdad comes in there and starts abusing the kids, and the mom is just doesn't, chooses him over their safety. You know what I mean? Anybody. This is why I tell you all the time. Pick-me's, we're all on the pick-me spectrum, in my opinion. Some a little bit because of survival and patriarchy, and then some of us way over here and have a lot to unlearn. A lot of course correction to do. So it takes longer, and it's a lot more work. But you can get there. This is why I say do not be too close with women who are very codependent and on the pick-me spectrum, because they will put you in danger. Same thing with men. That man is too enmeshed. He's too codependent. He will put her in danger. He will put her, that wife, well, they're never going to be a wife now, in danger on a regular basis, emotionally in danger, if not physically, because he can't say no to mom and he can't protect her from mom because he won't. Doesn't know how to yet. You can call him a coward, but in that vein, I was a coward. I could not stand up to the people who had done that to me. Could not for a long time. It took a lot of work. So I just want to add that little caveat. That's abuse. But because that woman is living under patriarchy and was going to marry a man with a boy mom, she's already set up because that man is already treating her like she's not important. And if you're married to a man who doesn't treat you like you are precious, he will exploit you. He will. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. He will exploit you. He'll make your life harder. He will. So when you are vetting men, when you date, the relationship with their parents is very important. And if they don't have a relationship with their parents, ask questions. Ask questions. Understand why. What are they doing about it? How did they come to that? All that stuff. We don't ask enough questions. And then we get tied to these men with marriage or babies. And then that grandma, they may never get married, but that grandma is going to make that woman's life hell for the rest of her life. She is tied to that mother-in-law, even though they're never married. Please don't get pregnant by these men. You're tied to them and their family forever, especially if you're in a foreign country. Just saw a post today in the immigrants group, and it was like, oh my God, man. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, subscribe. I really want to hit 25,000 on my 1-year anniversary here. Please help me do that. I have no idea how to help me do that, but please help me do that because that would just be such a cool way to celebrate 1 year. And look forward to my Patreon. It is coming within this week. I promise.